because of my transition, when I was a kid, obviously I was a little girl, and a lot of my friends were and still are girls.
Hello everyone, welcome to episode 24 of the Ed Squared podcast. Now, my voice is a little different. I've had braces put on recently. Now, I shouldn't be really complaining about that because today's guest has gone through much more than that. Today we have on the podcast Oliver Frater. It's kind of after a certain point, it gets to a point where everyone's kind of aware of what happens. It just kind of starts glorifying it.
Mm-hmm.
Or you've got these people clipping up. I mean, I've seen edits of Jeffrey Dahmer, like what are they called, like First Trap edits.
Yeah,
dude.
Same with Ted Bundy, because he was. I mean, Ted Bundy had like groupies who were obsessed with him, who wrote to him in prison, who were like in love with him.
Because if you think about it, a hot serial killer is rare. Yeah. Usually the serial killers who go into power, they're doing it for a reason, right? They haven't got...
They're unhappy with their life because no one likes them and pays attention to them. I mean,
can get... Ben, can you pull up? There's this classic mugshot where this guy got a career for modeling after it. So it was some state in America, I can't remember.
I think I might have seen
But these mugshots went viral. And when this guy finally got out of prison, he had like a deal with Dior, or he had some like... on a walkway deal where he was then walking up and down the catwalk. Yeah.
Jesus.
It's crazy.
That's like a new level of like prison reformment.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
giving criminals.
Yeah. Yeah. Look how hot this guy is.
Oh yeah. Dude. Yeah, I have seen that.
You don't see people like that.
What was he in prison for? Do you know?
No, I don't. Do you know what he was in prison for? We'll Google that. That is insane.
Because if it's just like a robbery,
yeah,
like I can understand, but if it's like...
He was a former member of the Crips gang.
Oh,
so he probably hurt and killed a few people.
Not just burglary, probably.
Arrested during a gang sweep called Operation Ceasefire in California.
Wow. So this guy,
nice.
I mean, California. There's a couple of hotties in California. That makes sense.
Felon in possession of firearm and grand theft.
Wow. Oh, okay. So it wasn't that bad.
I mean, talking about the States, man. You've been over there recently, right?
Yeah, I went on the 15th of November and came back on the 1st of January. So
and do you want to tell people the good news? Aren't you engaged now?
I am engaged now. Yes.
I knew you like a year ago, just as a uni student, just like me, not really knowing what the fuck I'm doing with life, and now you're engaged. Yeah. Insane.
Yeah.
Where did you meet this person? Let me know about this person.
So I would. It's a nice story, but I always get really embarrassed because I know that there's like people out there that are all funny with stuff.
Oh, so, you don't have to reveal anything.
No. So years and years and years ago, I met someone online. We have no idea how we met. And we became friends and then sort of fell out of touch a little bit. And then summer of 2022, I reconnected with her whilst I was recovering from my surgery. So I couldn't like do anything. And she streams on Twitch. And she was like, oh, like, well, whilst you're recovering and you can't do anything, like, I play Fortnite on stream. Like, if you want to get on with me, like, go for it. Like, it'll give you something to do. I was like, oh, I've never played Fortnite before. Let's do it. I'm still, like, 2 years later, absolutely awful at the game. Am I allowed to swear on this?
Yeah, you can swear.
Fucking awful. Like, I actually give myself, like, secondhand embarrassment when I play the game, but anyway, it's just like a nice little social thing for me. So she streams, and then I sort of like got close to her again, and then I found out that our mum and our dad also streamed, which I thought was like super cool.
That's crazy
because she's 22 and her parents are quite a bit older, so you know, my parents are both teachers. they don't know what Twitch is.
Yeah.
They think the whole concept of sitting at a computer and watching someone play a game is the most boring thing in the world. They don't see my appeal in it. But
I see my dad judging me every time he watches me watch someone play.
Yeah.
He just doesn't get the concept.
But I just like, I don't know, it's just like watching a YouTube video, but you can talk to the person at the same time.
Or like anybody who watches sport. You know, those people who like, lads, football.
Yeah,
They're the first to go, oh, that's sad. You're watching someone play a video game.
My dad watches NFL, he watches NBA, he watches the Premier League sometimes, not as much anymore, but I was like, this is my sport.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so I was in her dad's stream one day, and they sort of all had like a similar community because they all sort of played the same stuff. So friends that one of them made would end up making friends with the other. So Hannah went to high school with Amaya, the girl who I like became friends with first. But Amaya's dad is in the military, so she moves around a lot. So they went to school together for a brief period of time, and then Amaya moved away. And then one day I was in Amaya's dad's stream, and Hannah was in there too, and I can't remember what started the conversation, but Hannah mentioned Hamilton, the musical. And me as like a little musical nerd, I was like, oh my God, I love Hamilton too. So we were just like chatting in the stream chat for a bit. And then I was just like, okay, I'm going to shoot my shot here.
Yeah.
So I messaged them privately and I was like, this is my Snapchat, like if you want to chat. Bearing in mind, I want to say maybe 4 or 5 days out of a long-term relationship. We had been together for like 3 years, but for the last 7-8 months of that relationship, we weren't together.
Yeah.
There was a lot of shit that went on.
Damn, I'm learning so much about, like, I feel like I'm on an episode of Loose Women or some shit.
It was a rough time of my life.
Yeah.
So we just got chatting and like instantly clicked, like and
was this all through the Twitch chat?
No, so we spoke for like a night on Twitch, and then it moved to Snapchat, and then I think I gave them my number. It developed to a number at some
Things
point.
Move quick on Snapchat.
Yeah.
Like, you know when you're messaging someone on Snapchat, there's a little bit like, is this guy about to send me a dick pic? Like, there's you're one kind of message away from something popping up.
I mean, I use Snapchat a lot, but that's mainly because I'm in a lot of group chats, and I feel like that's the easiest platform to have a group chat on.
All right, okay.
But like me and Hannah very rarely use Snapchat anymore. Okay. Like I think the only reason I suggested Snapchat first was I feel a little bit safer with Snapchat to start with.
That's crazy.
Because you can send a snap, and I know that Hannah wasn't a 65-year-old man.
Yeah. Was there any doubt? Like, because I ask people all the time, if you've got a girlfriend, you know, on Discord, a lot of people meet people on Discord now. Yeah. That like, how do you know? I mean, I suppose.
I mean, my parents were very internet strict when I was a kid. So, and you know, when you're a kid and your parents are strict, you find your ways to be sneaky.
Yeah.
So I'd say I've had my fair share of run-ins with people who probably weren't who they said they were. Nothing like I've never put myself in danger. I would never meet someone in person who I didn't 100% know who they were. But yeah, like I feel like I wouldn't say I had any doubts. There were definitely doubts that like that you can have one personality online and a different personality in person. Yeah. Like I'm a lot more comfortable and open online than I am in real life, unless it's with people that I'm close with.
How does it feel doing something like this then, just like in person? Because I feel like this is like a form of communication which is happening like less frequently now.
Yeah.
Like, I agree with you. Like, there's certain things I've said to my mates at 3 a.m. on Discord that I wouldn't say
Yeah.
right now, right?
Yeah.
There's that weird, like, also, like, the feeling that you're still a kid again. Like,
Yeah.
whenever I'm on Discord or wherever I'm playing games,
Mhm.
wherever it be, there's, like, that giddiness. There's, like,
Well,
that.
It's funny you say that. So, Jack came into my room the other night, and I was playing Fortnite. And I've said for so long, every time I've played Fortnite and Jack's been pestering me in my room, I've been like, come on, you have a go. And he's always like, no, I've got no interest in it. And I'm like, fine. And I was sat in my room and I was playing on Fortnite, and he went, I want to have a go. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, this is the best day of my
Oh
life.
my God, yeah.
So I sat down with him, and I, like, not to get too deep here, but because of my transition, when I was a kid, obviously I was a little girl.
Mm-hmm.
So, and a lot of my friends were and still are girls. I'm just a lot more comfortable with girls. But, you know, the friends that I played with as a kid, they didn't play video games. I wouldn't say they were necessarily like, let's play with Barbies or anything,
Yeah.
but I didn't have...
There may be more horse girls or
Yeah.
maybe, you know, maybe
Yeah.
something like that.
I didn't have the aspect of like going over to my mate's house and playing video games all night or something.
Yeah.
And when Jack was playing Fortnite, and I like took a video of it because I was like so over the moon that he was finally playing Fortnite, like I felt like a little kid again, because there was a point where he was fighting this person and his health was dropping, and he was absolutely like hitting this other guy,
Yeah.
like getting his shots in. And I was like so excited for him,
Yeah.
and he was getting excited, and I was like, oh my God, like this is what it feels like to like be a little kid
Yeah.
when you're like on COD with your mates and you're like excited. And I was just like, this is fucking mint. I was like, I love this.
Those
He'll
moments.
probably never play again, but
Yeah.
I had my moment. So
Well, there's that classic meme of like, you never know it, but this might be the last time
Yeah.
you play video games with your friends.
and that's a trend that I loved on TikTok when the new Fortnite season came out last month or 2 months ago. That was like the OG, because I didn't play Fortnite when it
Right,
came out.
yeah.
So
I mean, I'll just say I could talk about Fortnite for this entire podcast.
well,
I'm a Fortnite nerd. So this guy is, I'm having to have so much self-control not to nerd out right now.
So I didn't play from the start. I think I started, I want to say maybe end of chapter 3.
Damn, yeah.
Start of chapter 4.
Ben, you play Fortnite. You've known to play Fortnite a couple times as well.
What-
right?
I started around the same time.
Yeah. Whatever it was in like July, August
Yeah, the
2021.
good times.
That's when I started, and
Yeah.
I've loved it since.
Yeah, you still play it.
Yeah.
Nice, man.
But when the OG battle pass was coming out whenever it was, there was this trend all over TikTok where people would post a like picture of them now, and there was like a little emotional song in the background, and it was like, he's not playing the OG battle pass, and then the next picture would be like him, like that person as a little kid,
Oh yeah.
and being like, he is,
He's playing
or
that.
it would be like
Yeah.
a person older and then that person with like all of their mates as a kid.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that is so cute that people
Yeah.
are like, because like it's a video game at the end of
Yeah.
the day, and I know that like I find myself getting really frustrated because I'm so shit at it.
Mm.
But at the end of the day, it's a game. Like there's nothing to stress about. But I love that people have such a like nostalgic connection to a video game.
Well, that's what I was going to say. People connect a period of time with usually what they were doing at the time.
Yeah.
Like when they're a kid. Like I associate like when I was like 9 or 10, Wii Sports
Yeah.
every day, playing that tennis, playing that Wii,
Yeah.
and you can kind of go back to what your life was like at that time.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. So like when something like that, when Fortnite brought back OG Fortnite, it was like all of a sudden those emotions came
And
back.
I felt so sad because I had no idea, like, because I didn't play it from the start. Everyone was like obsessing about things, and I was like, I have no idea
Yeah.
what I have
Wow,
no
I'm
idea
so
what
jealous.
this is like a reference to or anything like
You
that.
got to play Fortnite for the first time recently. I'm very jealous of that feeling.
and it was fun.
Yeah.
And I I wish they'd stuck it longer. Actually,
Yeah,
I
dude.
quite enjoyed that season, but
Yeah.
who?
Do you find it hard talking to a lot of people around you though? Because it's not many people, like day-to-day people, would have met someone through the internet. And you're saying, a lot of your enjoyment you get is from, calling these people, playing video games.
Mhm.
I feel like a lot of the time it's quite hard if someone hasn't done that before, or, has lived quite a conventional life,
Yeah.
to like relate or just
So I have been a part of like the community of people that I know since that summer in 2021. And honestly, there are some people in that community who know me better than anyone else in that I've known in real life. Like, know me better than Jack and Anna, know me better than some of my friends that I went to school with.
Yeah.
And I get that it is odd. I know that it's not a normal thing. I think it is becoming more normal. But like I said, like when I talk to my parents about stuff like that, they're just like, well, how can you have someone who's such a close friend that you've never met before?
Yeah.
And I get it, because when my parents were my age, the internet wasn't a thing. But I do think it should be more normalized now that like, I know that there are things on the internet that you need to be aware of. Like, I'm not saying everyone go talk to strangers on the internet, but like I said, like I went through such a difficult time last, like pretty much end of November, start of January, and if it wasn't for those people, I wouldn't have got through that. And I've met my fiance through it. So
Insane.
yeah.
Like, I think there's a difference, right? Because I think maybe people might hear you've met, your partner online and you game together, but you know what Omegle is, right? I'm sure everyone knows. It's like a random chat room. Your webcam from anywhere in the world, and you could meet anyone from over the world.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a very big difference in how you meet someone online.
Yes.
So there you've met your partner through a common interest.
Yeah.
And I see that as more like trustworthy than, say, meeting someone over Omegle.
At the end of the day, if you look at Tinder,
yeah,
or you look at Hinge, or any Bumble, any of those dating apps, you are matched with people who you have common interests with. So yes, I didn't swipe right on Hannah or anything like that.
You just built a 90 and you killed her in Fortnite.
Yeah. So
were you flirting in Fortnite? Like, sorry, I was revolved back to Fortnite. But did you drop any Riz on Fortnite?
I am a chronically bad flirter.
Right.
Like, don't ask me for any tips.
Okay.
Because I don't have any for you.
Yeah, Ben was asking for some. He was hoping to get some from you today. No.
But I don't know how anything about me was like, ooh, yeah, let's go for that one. Like
that one, yeah.
But like, I'd consider myself a funny person sometimes. I know that I'm a nice person.
Yeah.
So I guess that was just part of it. But
the confidence.
Yeah, but I'm also a very shy person. Yeah. Like, I am very much an introvert, especially when it comes to like talking to people for the first time. Yeah. So I very much stepped out of my comfort zone, and I was just like, you know what? This person currently is halfway across the world. It's going to be a while, if ever, that I meet this person in real life. So if I make an absolute fool of myself...
Less pressure.
Yeah.
This was something I went through when I was in my hometown, Beverley. It's the opposite problem to you had. Yeah. Everyone I knew which school I went to, knew which relationships I had with people, anything embarrassing or anything good. They maybe knew about some of that. Yeah. So then there's like anxiety with just going to the shop. Yeah. You might bump into someone who in year 6 you slide tackled in football and now you both resent each other. But
see, my bonus to that is whenever I go to my hometown, knowing who the fuck I am. because
Right.
I don't look
Yeah.
anything like I did when people last saw me.
We'll have to pull up a before and after.
Yeah.
I mean, this is one of the reasons I wanted to get you on, was talk about your transformation. I think
Yeah.
it's fascinating. What we just talked about is what's happened recently in your life. I'd
Mhm.
love to talk about where it started. I mean, you talked a little bit about growing up. You found yourself hanging out with more, did you say girls or guys when you were younger?
Definitely more girls.
Right.
Yeah. Because I am like, I was raised in a household where emotions are good.
Yeah.
You don't put them down. You don't like try and push them away or anything. And both of my parents are very lovely people. So I just found I connected with girls more, even though I had no common interests with girls, because I was very much like a tomboy
Right.
growing up. You know, I had no interest in stereotypically girly things.
Right. Because usually the tomboys hung out with the guy, like
Yeah.
from my experience.
I mean, I did have friends who were guys,
yeah.
who I'd go and meet after school and play football with, or climb trees or stuff
Yeah.
like that. But from when I started middle school in year 5 until I finished high school, I had the same group of friends that was like 5 girls and like 2 or 3 boys. But one of the boys was gay.
Mm-hmm.
2 of the boys were gay. And
Like,
one
did
of
you
them,
know at that time? Because I feel like
they were out at the
okay.
time. So they were very much, they found themselves more comfortable with girls as well. So
yeah.
but yeah, it's just it was weird that I couldn't connect with them in like a oh, what do you want to do kind of way, because nothing they wanted to do interested me. But on an emotional level,
Yeah.
I fit in with them a lot more.
If only you knew Fortnite back then, and you could have played with them. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's cool.
Yeah.
And then, so was that period through primary school?
Yeah.
How did you find your, like, with your own identity and navigating that through puberty? Like,
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about that period of your life.
So like I said, I was always like a tomboy. I wore boys' clothes, or I wore like girls, like, you remember the phase of like board shorts
Oh.
with like that
Like
were almost
wide
like,
shorts.
yeah, that had like cargo pockets on.
Yeah.
That was my shit. Like, I was so into
Fuck
those. And I just wear like, you know, from an outward appearance, apart from the fact that like I had long hair, like I could have been a little boy.
Yeah.
And one of my deepest ingrained memories is that all through primary school, whenever someone would ask me what I wanted to be when I grew up, and I know that this isn't the right terminology to use now, but I'd like to say that I was like a 6-year-old child. I would always say that I wanted to be a lady boy.
Okay.
Which like just makes me laugh, because
and then everyone's like, how is he gonna turn Thai?
Yeah.
I don't think any surgery is gonna be able to fix that, but
so yeah, that's what I said.
running around the
be.
playground, just like, one day I want to be a lady boy.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So then, but obviously I didn't know what like anything was. Like, I was a kid, and I like, that doesn't bother me. I don't look back at my childhood and think, God, I wish I knew this, because I had a very good childhood. Like, there was nothing wrong with it at all. And despite anything that happened from sort of my teen years upwards, like, I was a very free child. My parents let me wear whatever I wanted to wear. They let me participate in whatever I wanted to. So it's not like my parents were like, no, you're a girl and you will. Like, there was none of that.
Yeah.
You know, if I wanted to go to Primark and buy shorts and a t-shirt in the boys section, they were fine with that. Like, as long as I was wearing clothes, that's all I cared about.
It'd be weird if you just like, you don't want to wear any clothes at all, right?
And then I would say around like 11 or 12ish, that's when like I started questioning things, and it started off that I thought I was gay. And I had like a girlfriend that, you know, like it wasn't anything serious. Like I was like 12 or 13 at the time. And then it sort of progressed into, do I think I'm gay because of anything else? And then I realized that I wasn't gay. I still liked girls, but I also liked guys.
Yeah.
And then I'd say around like maybe 14ish, I was exposed to the internet, and I will say that I am completely against the idea of parents having the like ideology of we shouldn't let kids watch things on the internet because it puts ideas into their head. I know fine well that nothing was put into my head.
Right.
But the reason I came to start thinking about things was because I was exposed to vocabulary.
Right.
I knew how I felt. I just didn't know the words to say how I felt. And this is so embarrassing, but I always wanted my hair cut short, and I always wanted my hair cut short like Ellen DeGeneres.
Okay. Like a
Which-
little. What does she have? She
like
has
a
like a.
little-
Can we see Ellen DeGeneres' haircut?
It's
And
awful.
right.
It's like lesbian.
Yeah, it's blonde. I mean, it fits her though.
Yeah,
I feel like
yeah.
she owns it, right?
Yeah.
What age did you want this Ellen DeGeneres haircut?
I'd say like 12 or 13.
Hell yeah. I mean, it's not a bad haircut.
It's
a
not.
little bit similar to the guy behind the camera now, Ben's haircut. Everyone.
But yeah, so I said to my mum, I was like, I want to cut my hair short. And for me, I wanted to cut my hair short because I wanted to look like a boy. But to my mum, I just wanted to cut my hair short. So when she was like, okay, and I mean, she didn't say no, but she was very unsure of it, just because once my hair's short, it doesn't grow back overnight.
Yeah.
And I was very much a very impulsive and indecisive person. So
I think everyone is at that age. Like,
yeah. So she was like, okay, find some pictures. And all of the pictures that I showed her were of boys' haircuts. And she was like, well, if you get your hair cut like that, you'll look like a boy. And obviously in my head, I was like, yeah,
fuck yeah.
like great. But I hadn't spoken about it before. And so I just sort of pushed that away. Anyway, I ended up getting my hair cut short. Obviously, I've never gone back since. Loved it. It was an awful first haircut. It was it was just awful.
I mean, the way guys get their haircut compared to women's haircuts, guys are like in and out in 30 minutes. I bet you were in there like, whoa, this can be done in like half the time. What the fuck?
And the biggest shock after I got my haircut for the first time was how quick it dried.
Yeah.
Like I got out of the shower and within 20 minutes my hair was dry.
Yeah.
Whereas when because for the last, I'd say 2 or 3 years of me having long hair, my hair was constantly just in a ponytail because I didn't want to do anything with it. I didn't want to like have to deal with it. I didn't care how it looked. So it was either in a ponytail or a bun. Like I had no interest in having long hair at all. But the way that I like came around like certain terminology was that I was on YouTube and I looked up like getting my hair cut for the first time just because I wanted to see how
guys' haircuts were done.
And someone on YouTube who was trans had posted a video that was him getting his hair cut for the first time, and I was sort of like, oh, like that sort of feels like how I'm feeling. And then I watched a couple more of his videos, and then he would mention other people and I would watch their videos, and video by video, the more I heard other people describing how they felt and how they came to terms with who they were, I was like, this is literally exactly how I feel.
Yeah. It's like when you go to the doctor, this isn't an exact comparison, but when you have an illness and you don't know what it's called, or you don't know how to describe what it is, but as soon as someone puts it in the right words for you, go, oh, that's
Yeah,
it, that's
yeah.
it, this all makes sense now. So yeah, the thing I'd maybe ask you is kind of a two-part, but how would you find that like internal identity, not what you look like? Because during, that stage of being a teenager, it is very much what you look like that you care about.
Yeah.
How did that conflict with, what you want to look like with this like internal, not change, but realization?
I definitely embraced just wearing whatever I wanted. Like after I sort of had fully come to terms with things internally. I mean, again, I was never a girly girl, so there wasn't much to change. But I definitely tried like seeing how some of the boys acted at school, like mannerisms and stuff like that, and sort of tried to shadow it. And like all of my friends were very like open about any and everything, and didn't really care who anyone was. Like my group of friends through school were like the best people that I could have had to go through this with. So and from the start of them knowing me, I was very much a tomboy. So it wasn't like one day I came into school and they were like, oh my God, you're acting different or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I definitely started to like try to act in sort of a masculine way, but I did struggle at times because I was quite like a soft kid, and because I was very like, even now I'm still very in touch with like my feminine side.
Yeah.
And that now I've like sort of settled with that I can be a guy and still be in touch with my feminine side.
Yeah.
And I think that guys who are born male can also be like that. It's not just because of my experience. But to start with, it was very conflicting because I was like, okay, well, there's still this side of me. Does this mean that actually maybe this isn't my identity? Or like how do I navigate still having this side and part of me, but also presenting male and coming and not allowing this part to stop people from like not accepting, but like seeing me the way that I wanted to. Like, because I didn't want people to just be like, oh well, maybe you're just like a masculine girl, because that wasn't the case. I feel like there's a very fine line in society, or at least there was, maybe not so much now, but then, of are you just a masculine girl and are you trans?
Yeah.
Because, and I think a lot of it, well, all of it comes from the inside, which means no one else knows that. Like, if you are someone who's very like early on in coming to terms with who you are and whatever, so you are still very much like female presenting but like masculine. If you know all the feelings inside, the only way anyone else knows that is if you tell them, and if you're not ready to do that, you're not ready to do that. So
I find it really interesting that earlier you were talking about coming to terms with it first, mimicking or watching how a masculine man would move, and you having to mimic that, because of course, like, I describe myself, I don't know, I'm a guy, I'm not like a really masculine guy, but the things I do are intuition. I haven't had to do that. I now think how I would do that if I was trying to act more feminine and things like that. And wow, you had to learn from someone else. That's really naive that I'm thinking that, but that makes sense. You're having to like.
There's parts that's the thing that I like. That's one of the reasons I love talking about my transition and stuff, because if you're just talking to someone and you mention that you're trans and you get into the surface level stuff, all that's thought about is, okay, so you changed your hair, you changed what you wear, and you changed your name. But underneath, there's like so many social levels to come, like, to being who you are, and to be able to be socially accepted as that person. And by no means do I think that everyone should have to do that. Like, if I hadn't like mimicked those mannerisms and stuff, I wouldn't feel any less of who I am. I just chose to do that because that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
But like, even now, there's times where like I'll think deeply about like how I'm walking, and I'll think, if someone was behind me right now that can't see my face, could this person think, judging just by the way that I'm walking, could they think that I'm a woman?
Yeah.
Or could they think that I'm a man?
Dude, my dad used to have the most fucked walk when he was younger. My dad used to walk with his hands. So,
Yeah.
like, you know, we walk with our hands parallel to us.
Yeah.
Like, so you can see visually my hand is like that way. But he would walk with his fists like this, and like
So he'd
swear
walk
to him.
like that.
He would walk like the Phil Mitchell would.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I get you. And, you know, you've got that really how I would imagine a feminine walk is what you'd see like on a catwalk.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So there's those two contrasts. And to most people, you'd probably think, most people aren't thinking how they walk.
Yeah.
Most people, it's almost as if you're not reprogramming yourself, but a lot of stuff you would have learned as an infant or as a teenager. Oh, this is how girls do things. Like, you've had to relearn that.
But also, I guarantee that there's very little people on the street who are watching how I walk and thinking about who I am.
The majority of this conflict is in your head, right?
But for me, there is at least one thing every day where I'm like, how is someone perceiving me right now because of how I'm doing this?
Yeah.
So, and that's a part of stuff like this that other people, unless you've gone through it, you wouldn't think twice about it. And it's not, I don't think it's anything that anyone should feel bad about, because at the end of the day, unless you've gone through something like that, you're not gonna think about it, because you don't have to.
Yeah. Would you mind going into a little bit about how the process was of you know, deciding to go for the surgery, and how it was with the UK, like NHS, things like that?
So the start of my in the UK with the NHS, you have to go to therapy before you can have any sort of medical intervention, which I think is fair enough. Like, and I think it helps support trans people, because then people can't turn around and be like, oh, well, you're just doing this because it's a phase or something, because you have a literal diagnosis from someone in the medical field. So when I was, I want to say 16, I was referred from my GP to like a gender specialist therapy service that was in Leeds. So I had an appointment every like 2 months or something, and me and my parents would go, and they would talk to me and my parents together, and then they would talk to just me, and then they talked to just my parents. And by the end of it, basically they just said, they gave me a diagnosis of gender dysphoria, which is the mismatch between your brain and your body, or your brain and your identity, that obviously includes your outwards appearance as well. And then with that diagnosis, I could have medical intervention. So I knew that I wanted to start hormones, and I knew, because I had a very high voice, and my body was very like female. Like I had,
because it's 16, isn't females go through puberty slightly earlier?
Yeah, so
you would have been near the end of puberty, right?
By the time I started hormones, I was 18. I'd finished. Was I 18? I was 18. I was done with puberty.
Yeah.
And honestly, as shit as it was going through puberty, I mean, it's shit for anyone going through puberty, but as hard as that was, I'm glad I went through it, because I knew who I was, because I knew that puberty wasn't the puberty I should have gone through.
Wow.
Like every change that came with puberty, I was like, yeah, this is not for me. This is not what should be changing.
It's like Fortnite
right now.
updates that happen. Like, I don't want this update. Can we just like relax, guys? But your body, that must have been so hard.
Yeah.
Changes in your body happening that consciously you don't associate with your personality, your way of living. Like, wow.
Yeah. So one of the options before you go on hormones is that you take something called puberty blockers, which I'm not a doctor. I don't know the science behind it, but basically it blocks whatever hormone your puberty produces. So testosterone or estrogen. And basically, if you're a young kid who has been diagnosed to a service like this, that's the only medical intervention that they can give you to start with. And the good thing with it is, as soon as you stop taking it, your body kicks back in. It's completely a temporary thing. So a lot of young people, when they are questioning their identity, like before puberty or as they're starting to go through it, choose to take this medication, and it stops puberty from happening. And again, if one day they're just like, actually, no, I am this gender, you just stop taking it. And it continues. However, for me, I was done with puberty by the time I'd got to that stage. So
you were ready to get this shit on the roll. Yeah.
So I also knew that I wanted at least the possibility of having biological children. And if you start testosterone, it can make you infertile. But if it doesn't, when it comes to wanting biological children, you have to stop taking testosterone for a certain period of time
to be able to,
so that your body can revert back to like the menstrual cycle and stuff that, so that you can do that. And I knew, periods and stuff like that for me were horrendous anyway, like from a mental aspect. So I knew that there was no chance in hell that I would want to do that. But I wanted at least a chance of having a biological child. So I went through the egg freezing procedure. So I started that in January of 2020. So the end of 2020, just after COVID. Luckily, I was fortunate that my process was all covered by the NHS, which I don't know why it was, because it's not normally. And by this time I was 18, so it wasn't that I was under 18, but I'm not complaining, because fertility procedures are like really expensive. So
for sure. So with you going through that, how I'm just trying to get clear with so you've frozen your eggs, so then later on in life, if you wanted to have biological children, you can. So and that would be through
it would essentially be like surrogacy, in the sense that my eggs would be what's the word, would be
like the way they do it in the lab.
It's like IVF. So my eggs would be fertilized, that's the word, fertilized with a sperm donor, and then they would be put into my partner.
Wow.
So technically my partner would be like a surrogate for my child, but obviously if we're together, then it would just be like if you and your partner couldn't have kids for some reason, it would just be like if that was to happen for you guys.
That's really good that you have that opportunity. By the sounds of it, not a lot of people get that.
I think it's difficult for people to choose to do it because it's a very invasive procedure, and I don't regret going through it. Would I do it again? absolutely not.
Yeah.
Like, for 3 or 4 months before the actual procedure, I had to inject myself with hormones every day that like get everything inside ready. But I was living at that time as a guy. I was completely out socially to everyone, but every day I was actively injecting female hormones into myself, and it was almost like, I know that this is going to sound so dramatic, but it was like conversion therapy. It was like, okay, mentally I know who I am. Everyone else now knows who I am. Let's inject female hormones into myself every single day. That, like, mentally it was really difficult for me. And again, like, the whole like menstrual cycle was emotionally hard for me anyway, and I was actively having to like induce that.
Yeah.
So
Any girl that complains about a period to you, you must be like, what the fuck, man? You want to see what I've been through.
And then the actual procedure itself was traumatic. Like, I mean, you're not put to sleep, but you're sedated. And I know that when you're sedated, like, your emotions are all over the place anyway. But I just remember for 2 hours just crying the entire time the procedure was happening. But I also, now I think, one, because I was sedated, I don't really remember it. But two, I think my brain just doesn't let me remember it. Like, it was so emotionally traumatic that I've just like completely put it out of my brain. So
did you have any hard conversations? You said it was during like the stages 16 to 18 with any family or friends that maybe didn't see eye to eye with it, or maybe, you know, you probably heard it before, the argument or the concern that having such surgery, maybe not when you're 16 or 18, but maybe this applies when people are a bit younger, of that idea of responsibility and the responsibility of the parents, because at that age it kind of shifts and it's kind of a blurred line.
I mean, I think that everyone should be able to be who they are. I don't think that children should be allowed to make permanent changes to their body, and that's not just in this circumstance. This is full stop. If
like a tattoo.
If a 14-year-old girl wanted a nose job, unless it was like that they have some internal damage that stops them from breathing, I don't think that any kid I don't think anyone under the age of 18 should be able to, or should have someone be able to give consent for a permanent change. Like, I mean, I had ear piercings as a kid, but you take an ear piercing out, like, if I don't want it anymore.
Whereas the stuff you're involved in, a little bit more complicated.
So I think that they should be allowed access to the information and the resources to learn about it, because the thing that causes the most miscommunication is the lack of knowledge. If I talk to someone who is transphobic, it's because they have no fucking idea what it's about. If I give them the resources, they could easily turn around and say, okay, well, I'm not going to change my opinion. Fine, don't talk to me.
Have you ever had a conversation with those type of people? Because I reckon after talking with you for a bit, like, it'd be really hard.
I'm very fortunate that I've never really had any issues, but I also actively don't put myself in those situations.
Because it's almost as if you know for damn sure you are not in the right body, and you talk to that person, they've gone through that, and you can see them happier. On a like human to human, no matter where you stand politically, you can just kind of go, fair play, you're now happier. It doesn't affect my life.
Well,
right?
Here is something. I am not like ignorant towards politics. I just try not to involve myself too much because it angers me so much. Plus, at the end of the day, there's only so much that I can do about it. But because it's personal, the trans debate is something that I'm very vocal about, because one thing that really like stumps me is that, take for example, I'm trying to think of someone who's like really actively transphobic, like
Who?
Donald Trump.
Okay, transfer it, yeah.
I'm out in the streets
Yeah.
and Donald Trump comes up to me
Damn.
and starts having a conversation. And I'm dressed like this and I look like this and we're having a natter and he's having just a general conversation about life with me. To him, he's having a conversation with a man.
Yeah.
I then say to him, oh, by the way, I'm trans. He hates me.
Yeah. All of a sudden, he's
And
not
it's
getting
like,
a Greg's with you. He's walking
yeah.
away. Like,
And
fuck, man.
I think one of the things that really annoys me is that people just have a problem with other people being happy.
Yeah.
I paid for my surgery out of pocket.
Well, yeah,
It wasn't
this is what
under
I
the
was gonna
NHS.
say. Yeah.
So my change to my body hasn't cost the taxpayers anything. My hormones, I pay for my prescription, so it's not costing anyone anything.
Yeah.
Everything else that I've done has had no impact detrimentally on anyone else.
Yeah.
Sure, my family has had to start calling me a different name, but they've done
get
it.
used to that.
Yeah.
People change their phone numbers all the time.
Well,
it's just a name.
Here's another thing. There's now a rule, I don't know if it's in place yet or if it's coming in, that Rishi Sunak has put forward, is that teachers are now allowed to refuse calling a child by a different name or different.
Can we Google that?
Or
Can we
different
Google
pronouns.
it? So is it a recent law that they've added?
It's either been proposed or it's been put forward.
And this is surrounding the language.
So
you have to call someone.
So if I was a 14-year-old person and I went into school and I said to my teachers, "Hi, I want to be called this name and go by these pronouns now," that teacher's allowed to turn around and say no.
Right.
But when I was at school, when anyone was at school, I had at least 3 teachers who, during a school year, went and got married. And they changed their last name.
Yeah.
And if I had accidentally called that teacher or had point blank refused to call that teacher by the new name, that was disrespectful. It was rude. I was told off.
Yeah.
I don't understand where the difference is in that.
I suppose maybe they look at it from, these are young people. If anything, like you're saying, body dysmorphia, things like that, at that stage in their life, especially maybe in primary school, maybe the concern is if you entertain it or you do unfold that, then there's like some sort of relationship between the parents. So say if all of a sudden the school is okay with calling Jeremy Fiona, but the parents are like, no, you're Jeremy. Maybe there's some conflict there.
But what I think should be the case, and this isn't just for like trans individuals, this should be for any child, school should be a safe place where, I mean, when you're a child, you spend more time in school than you do at home.
Right, yeah.
So if you come from a home where you've said to your parents, this is who I am, and they've said, no, you're not, you should be allowed then to go and feel safe in a place. Because if not, kids kill themselves.
Yeah, dude. Like the fucking rates right now of people
this
killing themselves.
is the issue that like I could talk about this for ages.
Here we are.
Like Rishi Sunak and other people in his party and some people in the Labour Party and every party will stand up in Parliament or in front of people on stages, whatever, and they will say, we want to stop this happening. We want to stop people being able to do this. And then they talk about how mental health services are crashing because there's too many people referred. Talking about how suicide rates are through the roof. But what they're doing is not preventing anyone from actually being happy.
Yeah. Do you want to pull up what you found?
Yeah. So his Rishi Sunak's guidance for schools, 4 rules here. It says teachers will be forced to out students to their parents and carers, regardless of objections from the student. Trans students will be banned or segregated from collective sports in PE. If parents/carers do not consent to their children being addressed by different pronouns, teachers will be forced to ignore the students' wishes. And teachers and other students can ignore the preferred pronouns of trans or questioning students.
Right. So it's freedom of language. It's freedom of. So of course we're run by the Conservative Party. It makes sense that they're gonna protect that.
Yeah.
I think it must be hard though from your perspective, especially you've imagined yourself at school.
Yeah.
And you going through that. It would be awful that.
Because here's the blunt, honest truth, and you can leave this in or you can cut this out.
No, go for it.
But I mean, through school, I never went by a different name or different pronouns.
Okay.
I wasn't ready to do
Right.
that. And plus, my dad worked at my school. I had some kids in my school that were just horrible people. And for me personally, I didn't want to put myself in a vulnerable position, and I also didn't want to put my dad in a vulnerable position, because anything that was talked about for me, as a result, indirectly affected him.
Yeah. Oh, that's always hard.
But based on how I felt in life after school and how much I struggled, if I had been at school and I had changed my name and my pronouns, and and that was like ignored, plus the amount of struggle that I was going through mentally and internally, without even having that aspect of my life ignored, I would have killed myself. Like, I was so unhappy at school, and I was so unhappy in, like, pretty much up until I started hormones, that if I was one of the people who run the country had said, we don't give a fuck what you want to do with your life, we're not gonna let you, I wouldn't be sat here at all.
Well, yeah, it's not just what you can do and can't do, it's the language we associate with. So it's a really complicated thing, because in this country we don't have full free speech. I think in America, I mean, you've been over there recently, there's that whole debate.
I mean, there is free speech, but it's not really free speech.
In like a world which now, especially people our age, we're becoming more progressive, in a way we're becoming more divided than ever. Right? You're probably talking to more frequently people who understand you, but in that same case, there's probably just the same amount of people who would associate with you.
I'm actually surprised the amount of people of our generation who are still such bigots.
Right, yeah. I know a couple of bigots. Yeah.
I don't know how anyone can have grown up with the things that we have, exposed to the things we've been exposed to, and still have such a close-minded outlook on life.
For sure.
Like, I know that if you are one of those people, you won't understand my mindset, but I physically can't comprehend how anyone can have an outlook on life at like 22, 23.
Yeah. I mean, at some point they would have interacted with them, but I would get that, say, if you're born in like a rural town, you're born like in a place which maybe doesn't have a lot of people who have gone through transitions, people who have gone through that they may not have interacted with that.
Yeah.
And just like with someone who was born in like a fully white town, you know, they may not be racist, but the first time they see a black guy, they'll be like, whoa.
Yeah.
It's that, but I get you, man. I think you very much have the right to be really confused by someone who's your age, not even having an ounce of a clue what's going on. Green cards promote getting married in America.
Don't commit fraud, but it's a great way to go over there.
Yeah. Is there ever? Will you have to take like a test? You know, like in the UK.
The only reason you have to do that is if you want to apply for citizenship.
Okay.
And there are very little benefits to being a citizen that appeal to me. Like, you earn the right to vote. You can get an American passport.
Yeah, I don't really want to choose to vote between Biden and Trump. Like right now, I'd prefer not to have that vote. Right.
And well, anyway, so I think you have to have a green card for at least it's either 2 years or 5 years before you could even do that. So it just, the measures you have to go through to be a citizen, unless anything changes that could be like detrimental to me living there.
Yeah.
There's not really an appeal to it. I don't really want to be classed as an American, so like.
But you'll live over there.
Yeah. So
I'm into that. Don't be classed as American, but date one. You know. I think the accent's pretty hot. I think. Jesus. Is it
I will say that it was an aspect of what was drawn, but
dude, I love an accent.
I mean, I hate what I sound like. I think because I'm classed as a Geordie.
Yeah.
But because of who I've grown up with and where I've grown up, I don't have when I'm around other Geordies, I can like be super Geordie. But like I've talked to people who say that I sound posh, and if someone says that I sound posh, I just want to slap them. Because I associate, and this is very backwards thinking of me, but whenever I hear someone described as posh, I think Tory. I think rich. I think scummy. So
well, how can you be posh and scummy? Those two.
No, but like scummy and like I have money. And I'm gonna show it.
I've got a couple unpaid workers in my basement. Thing, right.
So I don't want to be associated with posh. Sure. I know that I don't sound super Geordie.
Yeah.
But I also...
unless you say Geordie, you sound Geordie as fuck.
But again,
that's the only time you sound Geordie.
When I'm with people that are Geordie,
yeah,
I can be really
proper
thick
Geordie.
with it.
Yeah, you can be nice, man.
But but apparently my accent also attracted Hannah to me, and I'm just like, ooh, why? But I guess I'm a Brit, so
there you go.
I'm appealing.
No, thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah.
And shout out to all the Geordies out there listening.
Yeah. And we've also the Americans too.
Yeah, all the Americans.
Well,
maybe from this podcast. Some of them. Maybe they won't like us talking about the guns. They're protective guns. Yeah. Thanks also Ben for helping out today. He's come on. What a guy. And feel free to come on, man. Maybe when you've had another transition. Maybe when you go back.
Yeah.
Or maybe whatever new surgery they bring out, you can just no.
I mean, I'm hoping in the year to be married. So
wow,
I can talk about married life.
Who was the one before we go? Who was the one you proposed? How did you do it?
It was very. I knew I wanted to propose.
Yeah.
I just knew that I wanted to have a nice ring and be able to do it in a nice way. So I wanted to be in a financial position to be able to. And then...
Like, where did you propose?
Oh, I feel like I should have talked about this more because it's a fucking insane story. So, it was the 30th of December.
Yeah.
We were sad because I was leaving soon. And at 9 o'clock at night, me, Hannah, and 2 friends drove 4 hours to Vegas and we were going to get married.
No way.
Yeah.
So did you propose before the car journey, or
this is gonna sound awful. I was ready to propose,
right?
But the only reason I proposed when I did is because I refused to get married before being engaged.
Right.
So we were in.
So you both had the understanding you were gonna do it.
Yeah.
Right. So
at 9 o'clock at night, at like 6-7 o'clock at night on the 30th of December, we were like, we're gonna drive to Vegas and we're gonna go get married. So at like 9 o'clock, we set off. We got to Vegas at 2 o'clock in the morning. We couldn't get married because 1, we didn't have the right documents.
Yeah.
2, the place where you get your marriage license had shut at midnight.
Yeah, Elvis is usually clocked off by that time, right?
So we got to Vegas at 2 in the morning. We spent an hour in Vegas and then we drove 4 hours back.
So you drove all that way trying to get married, but in turn just engage. You kind of got blue-balled in a way.
Yeah, but it was genuinely one of the best nights of my life. Yeah. Because I'm not a risk taker. I don't do anything spontaneous. And within 5 hours, I proposed. I drove 4 hours to Vegas. I spent some time in Vegas and then I drove back.
Dude, we're going to have to talk about this more when you next come on.
I should have mentioned this. Like,
dude,
right at the start.
Marriage.
But, you know when you watch movies where like people take drugs and then they just go do something like wacky?
Yeah.
I'd like to state for the record, I was completely sober.
Yeah.
So was Hannah in a drug and alcohol aspect. But yeah, like it's literally the wildest thing I've ever done in my life.
You're just high on love. Just
Yeah,
high on that. Wow.
literally.
4-hour drive. I wish I loved someone that much. I'd drive 4 hours. No. No, thank you very much for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me.
And yeah, guys, we're available on TikTok, Instagram. We've got some clips going out there, and I'll leave anything Ollie wants down below. And yeah, we'll see you next week, guys. Bye.